Hi, everyone. I'm hoping you can all hear me clearly. My name's Major Malley. I've been with DIS for a number of years, and my current role is to help our dealer group integrate with third parties like Billtrust. And that we've been working with Billtrust for the last 6 months to get this integration, put this integration through its paces and get it running. Anthony?
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Major. Yeah, looking forward to getting into today's discussion. As Major mentioned, we've been very focused on the integration that we're excited to share more details about today. As part of the Billtrust team, my role is as a sales executive supporting our equipment vertical. Been working with equipment dealerships for close to a decade now, and looking forward to expanding on how that has applied to some of our DIS users and that experience. But I'll pass it to Bob next to share a bit more about his role and Billtrust team.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Yeah, as Major mentioned, a panelist here today on our webinar, Bob Alec, Director of Sales for the equipment team here at Billtrust. Like Anthony, been working with dealers for a number of years, better part of the past 20, working in the equipment space. As a whole, Billtrust is certainly very pleased to roll out this partnership with DIS, which, you know, as Anthony will delve into a little deeper, will ultimately help DIS dealer clients streamline their accounts receivable processes and ultimately get paid faster. So, you know, one of the things that we do a little different than maybe is commonplace in the market, we are dedicated completely to the equipment space with our team. So we work with dealers day in, day out, well over 5,200 dealers that we're supporting across North America. So in that, you know, as I'll touch on in a moment, encompasses the entire equipment dealer spectrum. So our team, as you can see on the slide here, is from solution consulting to folks like Anthony that work with our equipment dealers, material handling, and a number of other segments are again dedicated completely to this space and supporting our wonderful dealer clients. So across the 5,200 dealers that we proudly support, again, across in multiple segments, from material handling dealers to heavy duty truck dealer clients, construction equipment, as well as farm and ag. So we certainly encompass the entire spectrum and you know, really understand the needs of our dealer clients at the end of the day. And just a little sampling of some of the clients that we do support across this spectrum, but certainly not everyone.
Yeah, so thanks, Bob. And you know, I think as Bob had mentioned, why all of that matters is for Billtrust, who offers an end-to-end accounts receivable platform. With any other software, like any other software offering, there's a lot of ways that you can configure our solutions to derive value, right? And within that, our primary focus in having this specialized vertical is to really maximize on our support of equipment dealerships, given it is a core focus of our business. From a feedback perspective, it allows us to derive a solution when we implement our product for any one of our customers that really is configured to meet best practices associated with your peers across, you know, the farm and ag material handling space. We understand that the bulk majority of today's registrants and attendees will kind of fall into those primary buckets. So when we think about how Billtrust really drives value for those types of organizations, it's through the end-to-end accounts receivable integrated platform that we offer. And what you're viewing on the screen here highlights what that offering and platform includes alongside the outer ring here. So as we move forward into the discussion, we're going to dig more into each individual product offering, but I did want to just kind of first start with giving you a lay of the land in terms of what the challenges Billtrust is set out to solve for, and really how we get your dealership to its full potential and be world-class in payment acceptance, getting your customers to driving improved experience on their end of being able to receive electronic invoices as well as submit payments electronically, the efficiencies within that process, and really driving down costs of payment acceptance. We look to implement our product based on specific challenges that each of our dealerships face, but we don't make any assumptions. While we have configurations for each of our products that will correspond with the equipment dealerships kind of structure, given the equipment sales, parts, service, size of your business operate a little bit unique to one another. We look to do an assessment of your dealership's processes before ever implementing any one of our solutions. And in that, we'll focus on these key outer ring areas. So when we think about at the top of this kind of wheel here, the credit piece. So typically what we hear is that organizations have a manual credit app process whereby you may have a sales rep communicating to a credit analyst that they have a new lead where they're then processing or passing along a somewhat completed credit app, right? And that then requires the credit analyst to work alongside their team to really understand, based on D&B information, what's the best credit lines, often requiring them to reach back out to the customer for gathering additional information. What Billtrust offers is a bit more streamlined of a process in doing that, right? So right from the onset, what we look to help our dealers facilitate is an online credit app where they go onto your website, they can actually access that credit application online. They view all of the required fields that they then process through. And in that, your teams will have visibility through the end-to-end completion of that credit app, as well as the ability to configure the fields that are required in order for that to actually the customer or new prospect to process that credit application through. That ensures that your team's really focused on activity that's driving value to the dealership and allows you to kind of set that standard for your customer that you do business electronically, you offer efficiencies in your communication. So your customer processes the credit app, you then have that information processed through, and what Billtrust Credit Solution will allow you to do is utilize relationships like with D&B to be able to set parameters around what automated lines of credit you can approve and process for that customer. And after the fact of being able to manage that insight within the credit application and assigning the credit lines, you then have the ability to take that and send it back into the DIS product that you utilize. Moving into then the next kind of stage of what the accounts receivable and finance team's involvement is with AR are this invoicing payments through collections stages, right? So this is really where we get creative and looking to drive the most value in terms of the ways that the transactions are managed from a day-to-day process. So we think through, all of the various types of companies that you service, and you'll have everyone from a small mom and pop farmer to a large big box organization such as a Home Depot. And all of those companies prefer to do business a bit differently, right? And in that array for invoicing particularly, you might have requirements to upload invoices into AP portals like Ariba, Coupa, Talia, Tungsten, along with the emailing invoices as well as print mail. Billtrust, what we're going to work with you on accomplishing, leveraging our DIS integration, which we'll talk about here shortly, is the ability to consolidate each of those delivery methods through Billtrust offerings. So what we have in place is an ability to process a file that is inclusive of all of your OpenAR information. That allows us to route out invoices, and we would actually leverage the PDF copy of the invoice that's generated by DIS today to then send out to your customer through the desired invoicing channel. And in that, you maintain the visibility, like I mentioned for credit, to actually be able to see when invoices are delivered to your customers and have confidence in whether an invoice was failed in that delivery. We'll expand on this in a bit, but ultimately the goal here is to give you the efficiencies of a single workspace environment that you can log into to manage all of your invoicing needs. We know with DIS's product, one of the challenges for users has been historically having to either download an invoice out of the system after statements have gone out to receive, they'll call into the dealership to receive a set number of invoice copies. Within our solution, rather than having to download those out of DIS and upload them into your inbox and resend, you can simply click the invoices that you need to resend or that the customer is asking for and resend them directly through our environment. One of the ways that we really drive value, and as Bob had mentioned, is by driving faster payments. And doing that, for the most part, CFO's preferred payment method and is our ACH payments, right? So for every single touch point that we're delivering an invoice at, we're actually looking to drive a payment touch point or opportunity for your customer. So for emailed invoices, we'll offer an ability for your customer to actually click an emailed invoice. They can then process a pay now link at the bottom of that invoice where they can process an ACH or credit card form of payment. For payments made by credit card, we can work with you around implementing certain rules to drive down costs of acceptance, right? So for example, credit card payments, we know, there's a lot of discussion around how you can reduce the fees around credit card acceptance. We'll work with you around implementing a surcharging program and all of the considerations around what goes into implementing that type of solution. We'll come back to that piece in a bit, but just to kind of round out the back end portion of our product, and then we'll talk through the integration layers and its benefits to the user group here. We have our cash application and collections solutions. So cash application is really intended to allow you to streamline payment as they're coming in, the application and otherwise manual effort that your team needs to spend in posting payments against invoices. So regardless of if it's a check scanned in at the local dealership, if it's a check that's going into a lockbox, if it's a electronic ACH payment that's processed and sent directly to a bank account, or any one of the various Billtrust payment channels, we're going to work with you around how we can automate the application of that payment to the respective invoice so that your team's really focused solely on exceptions. Within this solution, we offer an environment that you can actually manage exceptions. So typically we see about a 60% automation rate in year one, whereby your team for the remaining 40% is working on it within an environment that offers a bit more of a sophisticated solution, leveraging technology to guide their effort and increase the amount of exceptions they're able to work in a given hour. We typically see that on average for users that are doing the process manually at about a 20 to maybe 25 exceptions per hour, whereas with Billtrust, we're doubling that to about 50 exceptions an hour. Finally, our last solution, a part of our offering, is our collections tool. And really what that acts as is a resource for your team to automate certain procedure points and allow you to streamline the automated email reminders associated with invoices, be able to pull reports automatically that outline not only your aging information, but also what broken promise to pays are. And we really give your collections team a sophisticated environment to work from that will help in their day-to-day process and allow your organization to have a touch point at each account with an open balance on a monthly basis. So that kind of rounds out the platform offering. We'll dig into these solutions a bit, but as we've continued to expand how the dealerships are utilizing these solutions, we've done so through our current set of customers, which you'll see here listed on the bottom right, and currently at 11, which has allowed us to really understand how our solutions can work alongside DIS. It's apparent to us that there was a need to further enhance how organizations are adopting our solutions using DIS. And given our footprint and the continuous expansion of these organizations with our current offering, we've since established this formalized partnership with DIS specifically. And I'm going to actually allow Major to talk through the benefits of that and how it's going to allow for some efficiencies in relation to the integration that's been established now between DIS and Billtrust.
Thanks, Anthony. Some of you may have been aware of our My Account product, which is used to send emails out to invoiced emails out to customers. We're leveraging that same communication to communicate all of the invoice information from the business system to Billtrust. So we'll be sending them the invoice detail as well as a PDF document that then Billtrust has, and which you can then use from Billtrust. So in this integration, we are going to be doing it for every single one of our business systems, Quantum, Solutions, and Quipware. And then from the payment perspective, once the payments are received on the Billtrust side, so that could be, as Anthony mentioned, ACH payments, lockbox credit card payments, we will take back the payment advice from Billtrust, so from the customer, and create GL batches within the business systems. So you notice here I've only got auto match payments listed as Quipware and Solutions. We discovered internally with conversations about 3 weeks ago that we are able to do this with Quantum as well. So there's going to be just a little bit of development on our side, but you will be able to do in Quantum speak auto merges of payments from Billtrust. So the endpoint of that will be that you'll get a GL batch created. It will not be auto posted, but it will be one that you can review and then post, and it will auto merge all of the payments to outstanding invoices that the advice comes down to us from Billtrust. Okay, next screen, Anthony. I actually have spoken through most of that. And from a setup perspective, this is very straightforward setups. All of this stuff is going to be happening in the background. There's nothing that you would have to do. All we need to do is for you to have an account with Billtrust and then enter in the credentials, which will provide that information for. And once it's set, then every night we build a list of invoices that currently have an open amount, a credit, or a payment that's still on account that hasn't been applied, and we will communicate that information to Billtrust, as well as sending a copy of the PDF that's generated within Quantum or Quipware and Solutions to Billtrust for the customer to review. Next screen, Anthony. As I tend to go a little further with the screens. So basically, yeah, every night, and then the payments are received back in as they are entered into Billtrust. We will be picking up the files to process them in and generate GL batches for you that the AR department would then review. There will be some notification when a payment is received, and we've created a batch so that they won't be sitting out there without somebody knowing about them. Next screen.
Yeah, I think that rounds out the slides, yeah. Major, on your end. Yeah. So I'm gonna bounce actually back up just a little bit. So like, why does this matter for the folks on the call today? At the end of what we're really trying to accomplish with this integration layer is an ability for you to adopt solutions that are going to drive efficiencies and faster payments to your organization without the need for a heavy amount of technical work. Our biggest objection that we typically get in initiating any project are the IT resources that are available, and your focus towards what amount of time commitments are going to be relative to dedicating to setting up this module for your team, right? So this is really intended to give your organization a more sophisticated way of driving that forward at an accelerated rate. The second is the cost associated with setup. So given that this integration layer exists, that implementation cost isn't necessarily as relevant, while it will be a portion of what we need to consider in any project. The integration layer is really there to drive down that otherwise need for your team's time and the customization that would go into uploading the data files that Major had articulated being relevant to setting up Billtrust. Those are pre-established and will really allow for a reduced fee associated with getting this environment set up for you. This also then allows for additional accuracy when it comes to the data. So as Major had mentioned, we have the ability to process that information on a more live basis, whereby we can accurately give you and your customers a feed of what their appropriate balance is between what they paid and what is currently outstanding. And then finally, on an ongoing basis, you will continue to recognize value in this integration, not just because of the lower maintenance from an IT perspective, but because what we're going to be introducing through our environment will continuously evolve to meet best practices associated with the dealership network that's leveraging our product. Given that we have over 180 equipment dealerships that we receive feedback from and are able to extract data from those relationships, we can provide you insights as to how you really continuously drive your customers to the behavior you want to see from them, while giving them the ease of accessing solutions that are going to allow them to take actions on open invoices and submitting payment in a more efficient manner. We're trying to make your business stickier by having these solutions in place and allow you the efficiencies. And what we often hear from our customers is the improvement in kind of the day-to-day focus of time spent from your employee base. Leadership teams now understand the value of driving your team members towards really the areas that require a human consideration versus just keying information relative to payments being made into an ERP or uploading invoice information to a third-party portal. Our solutions intended to give them the resource to really empower them with value-added, kind of actions that they'll be taking versus those manual data entry nuanced tasks. So that's a bit about the integration. We're going to then pivot from here into a bit more of the specific solutions. So we've talked about how these solutions work with one another, but wanted to give you some perspective as to what it actually looks like on the inside of the environment. And that's what you're seeing here on the screen. So each one of our solutions comes with sorts its own tab within your platform. So when you work with Billtrust, you're working with a single stop shop of all of the kind of end-to-end areas of your accounts receivable team's needs. Starting with invoicing on the right-hand side, you'll see the screen that really gives you some perspective on what invoices are outstanding, what has been delivered over what time frame, and what exceptions need to be worked by your team. Again, allowing you to drill into those exceptions and focus on those rather than having to do the main mundane tasks of just consistently resending invoices. You're giving your team the kind of information at their fingertips to really understand what your customers' needs are from routing out those invoices to get you paid faster. That second layer here of payments, you're seeing the payments that are coming in and what type of payment method that has been leveraged. It's going to allow you to analyze customer behavior. And with our latest developments and the importance that's been stressed in analytics and AI, our solution, you're going to be able to continuously monitor and track how payments are coming in from your buyer base and help you modify certain collections procedures and how you're working with your customer base around those payment methods and what kind of trends you're recognizing from what your latest customers have been paying over the specific period of time, and kind of what the types of preferences they have in terms of paying against their term relationships with you. You'll move into cash application from there, working within the environment, and that's going to allow you, like I mentioned earlier, to monitor exceptions against invoices that have been paid as payments are filtering into your respective bank account. So we actually set up a direct bank integration, so we've got visibility into payments as they're hitting your account. And with that layer of the data that's coming in from DIS with your OpenAR, we're matching that at the time that those are paid, and we're also giving you that continuous ability to log in to the Cash App tab and see what needs to be managed as far as exceptions go, whether that's short payments or overpayments. You'll have all of that visibility and control to quickly resolve those as necessary. Then moving into the collections tab here, that's really going to give you some better perspective as to the ways that your customers and your team needs to focus their time. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but you'll have some efficiencies gained within the collections by just having it work with another tool that understands your customer's behavior and allocates their time accordingly. Finally, the credit and disputes, you'll see those as tabs as well. Again, really with this, the punchline is you're having a single workspace environment that's going to allow you to quickly manage all relative action items and tasks associated with the day-to-day transactional items, as well as the ability to report on and understand your customers' behavior on how they're submitting payments. Pause there, Bob. Did you have anything to add in terms of the environment itself?
I think you hit it on the head. I mean, yeah, as far as the way you framed it here with the visuals, and again, we're happy to take, just as an FYI, take any questions in the private chat that we will address at the end. And then also, as we set the stage at close, happy to obviously set up individual meetings where we can delve into the solutions in more depth and certainly custom tailor the presentation toward your needs.
Awesome, thanks, Bob. So one of the core solutions that we're offering is in order to really fulfill one of the ways that your customers can manage the day-to-day process as it relates to invoicing and their payments needs is by extending a payment portal. So we'll, through that integration layer, have the OpenAR information that's continuously being updated with respective open balances and all of the invoices and the respective documentation to go along with them. So that doesn't necessarily limit us to just the invoice copies themselves. We understand that for service and parts, there's typically supporting documents that also need to be routed out to your customers. So on the left-hand side of the screen here, you're seeing kind of the flow of the information and how that data will be passed to Billtrust. We're routing out the respective invoices that need to be for that given day, as well as updating the invoices that have either been paid down or that have been paid, and we're in that extending that payment portal that I referenced. So on the top right, for your customers that have received that prefer to log into the payment portal rather than calling into your team every single time they want to see retrieve an invoice that they saw on a line item on a statement, they can quickly come into here and they'll first be greeted with a summary screen, which acts as almost a living, breathing statement. They'll see their respective aging buckets, the amount due in that aging bucket, and the documents that correspond. From there, they can navigate into an open tab, and that'll really allow them to then take an action on those invoices and ultimately determine whether they want to submit payment through there as well. This is going to give your team a big advantage in terms of the time spent resending invoices, but also gaining visibility into what kind of actions your customers are taking. Your customer within this is going to have an option of setting up reoccurring payments. They'll quickly be notified if they're paying with their credit card and you have a payment acceptance rule of, let's say, a 3% fee to mitigate some of those acceptance costs. They'll be met with that rule at the time of processing the payment. And as Major Ed alluded to, for any payment taken within this environment, we're processing that and sending you back a posting file so that we're eliminating the otherwise very time-consuming effort that would be required for posting payments that are coming in ACH. That said, as those payments are then filtered through not only the Billtrust environment and the data back to DIS, we're processing the payment and sending back the payment to your respective bank account. So Billtrust is never holding the cash. We're just helping you facilitate the transaction in a faster manner that's giving your customer more of an ability to self-serve and you to drive some of the behavior around what their payment method is. Again, in this is a very much configurable solution. We have best practices in place. But one of the big objections we get during the sales cycle is, listen, we'd love to implement a payment portal, but our concern is that our customers aren't going to actually use it. So Billtrust, we have a very focused effort on driving the use of any solution that you utilize and then optimizing how it's set up from there. So what we do is we actually maintain a database that consists of all of our current supplier data and their respective buyer networks transactions, whether that's electronic invoicing behavior or electronic payment behavior. So given that we have the network of 2,600 customers and 180 being of which in the equipment industry, we're able to really leverage a strong amount of data so that for any of our new customers, when you onboard a Billtrust product, we do a cross-reference of your current customer base to analyze who's already receiving electronic invoices from another supplier using Billtrust, who's paying another Billtrust supplier using Billtrust electronically, how that payment's made, what the days to pay average would be for those given customers. And we're really then from there working with you to drive campaigns. So we have a e-adoptions team is what we coin them as, but essentially it is an extension of your marketing team and a dedicated resource at Billtrust that works with you to initiate emails and call campaigns to notify your customer base that you offer these new solutions of your customer being able to self-serve, right? So through that channel alone, you're gaining a big advantage in terms of just the ease of that transition. And we're also educating your team on how to use these tools throughout the process as well, right? So that is one of the big value adds of partnering with Billtrust is we don't just turn these solutions on and walk away. We're committed to making sure that we're driving the use of these given products and to maximize really the value out of our partnership. The next product that we'll really hone in on is that portal invoicing process that we'll support. So, we know today that this is a growing challenge across organizations that partner with some of the larger buyers out there, or if you're servicing some large national accounts, this process supports the Home Depots, Amazons, the big warehousing companies, and agricultural, aligned buyer networks with their needs on invoicing. So you think about Ariba and Coupa, Talia, Tungsten, all the time that requires operations and project management teams to enter invoices into third-party portals. We've supported over 190 in the last year, and in that growing list, we understand all of the variety and requirements that are applicable with getting those invoices posted. So, this is an extension of our ability to support again, kind of that end-to-end need from your team on how your customers are requiring their invoices be delivered. This next area is really highlighting what the tools we're going to use to drive those faster payments. So we've really highlighted these first two already in the internal workstation that your team will work from and the customer portal. The other item being that pay on email link. And I highlighted it earlier, but what you're seeing here is the way that a customer would receive an invoice that was emailed through Billtrust, leveraging that integration layer. What's really nice about this is it gives them quick access to see those invoices and the applicable documents that go along with those invoices, and they can submit payment directly from here rather than having to log into a portal. So you'll have customers that don't necessarily carry the preference of logging into a portal. This is really intended to meet their needs and still drive them to submitting payment for what will be more of an efficient turnaround time and experience in terms of getting that cash applied. So what happens is if they click this pay online button, that will prompt a secure checkout screen rather than having to log into that portal, where they can just go ahead and enter in information, whether it's ACH or credit card, and process that directly from there. Now, if it's a reoccurring customer that has already uploaded their information to you, you'll actually be able to reuse that as your customer. It'll just be an available option right through a drop-down selection. And then lastly, we're going to cover the collection solution. So Billtrust offers a very sophisticated way of managing your collections team and their respective time in how they're reaching out to your customers. First, we're going to work with you in the setup process of providing you with a set of procedures, which are more or less just a sequence of activity that you define for the outreach to be carried out for delinquent accounts. We'll set up those procedures in a way that you have the ability to offer some configuration around how the timing is on those and whether they're automated or not. So you can send email invoice information out rather than having your collector have to manage each and every communication touch point. This will send out those emails and give you the visibility into them. You'll see on the dashboard on the right-hand side that each of these, so you're kind of looking at a central dashboard here, but this can be further broken out. So if you have branches across multiple states that your collectors are currently structured around, or they're broken up on an alphabetical basis, we can accommodate those portfolios being broken out within the solution. And for those types of instances, when you drill into those portfolios, you'll maintain this view, but you'll have a better understanding of the reporting that goes along with that respective portfolio. So the goal here again is to offer more data at your fingertips. And again, because the solution is working as one, you'll have the integrated ability to identify how payments are filtering in, which offers the solution to extend the cash forecasting benefits to your leadership team. Again, over time, we're continuously monitoring the progress. So we'll do check-ins on a routine basis, it's typically once a quarter, where we'll meet with your team and we'll identify what kind of behavior you're recognizing in terms of the delinquent accounts and how they're paying, and in terms of against their terms and what kind of payment methods they're using. And we'll fine tune those procedures and sequences that I mentioned to really align with what's going to drive the best, impact for the dealership in getting you a faster payment. Lastly is really just the note sharing and ability to transfer portfolios from one collector to the next, as well as notes. So, having the ability, if one collector is out on vacation, to just pass their entire portfolio or actions needed to be taken for that, give it a period of time, you'll be able, from an admin perspective, to go into here and quickly adjust settings to make those assigned to the collector that will be filling in for that representative. So again, for that person, they're then able to log in and see all of the transaction history, the notes taken on the account, open invoices, and what respective actions need to be taken for that given portfolio. This kind of rounds out the Billtrust solution. And really, as we have mentioned and what Bob had alluded to in our sales process, we're very much, we take a consultative approach, in that we never like to make assumptions on which of our products are going to offer value to you. We like to take it through a assessment of your current state and really define what your current standings are against your open receivables and the metrics that you're tracking, to be able to define what are at the root, what is at the root of challenges that your team's experiencing that is potentially impacting the metric in a negative way. So for instance, we know that collection activity is typically 99% of challenges that they're facing are relative to an invoice not being delivered, or the customer stating that they weren't delivered. We'll give you the visibility and opportunity to understand those a bit more and really define what of our solutions need to be in scope for your given platform, so that for the tabs that are available for your environment, they'll be configured in a way that accommodates best practices and drives value for your customers and your process. So in that consultative approach, we typically start with just a discovery stage. And from today's conversation, we will be sharing the recording of our discussion, but also we'll be following up to just coordinate a meeting whereby we can put together a more tailored demonstration of our solution that meets your organization's needs and the given opportunity for you to recognize value in our offer. So with that, I think we are open to questions that are coming in. So I'm not sure if that will be Bob or Major reading those out, but happy to go through.
Absolutely, yeah, thanks, Anthony. So again, if you do have questions, you can just click the chat button in the GoToWebinar box and type your question in, and we will tackle those. I did see one question relative to Billtrust taking our in-house charge accounts like Farm Plan or CNH Capital. So just to provide some clarity on that, these are OEM plans, right? So John Deere and Case and New Holland captive financing. So for new assets, capital equipment, if there is direct payment structure for those leases or the capital equipment acquisition, those can obviously be maintained as they are, where we can help, if there is direct payment and funding coming from that OEM captive, we can help with the cash application process and kind of delve into that in more detail and maybe an individual presentation. But a lot of times those payments are coming in decoupled, and you're still having to apply the payments to the respective correct invoices and so forth. So we can, I guess the short answer is we can certainly carve those out, from any kind of like direct payment structure as far as collecting on those individual invoices, but certainly can work with within the framework of those payments coming in and having those payments applied very easily without manual entry.
I had a second question that came into me, Bob, so I'm going to take over for a second. The question was, will this program be taking over the My Account and the implementation of receiving payments through My Account now? This will not be replacing. This is another option. So you could still use My Account, or you can use Billtrust to do the AR. Both methods will still work. We're not turning off anything. It's just this is another option for you to handle AR receipts.
Yeah, thanks for that, Major. I think too, with that, the My Portal or My Account offering, we can set up what we refer to as single sign-on. So for your customers that are using My Account or a portal today, we can actually offer our solution alongside one of those existing environments that you have offered to your customer base to really ensure you're getting the most out of both offerings. So I wanted to highlight that as well, as we are open to really configuring our product, again, to what your needs are.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not seeing any more direct questions in the chat. Any others that were coming in to you, Major?
Yes, I just have one question just coming in. Is like, how is billing handled? Does DIS and Billtrust both charge for the solution, or it's a single bill?
Got it. Yeah, so there is a setup cost associated with the integration layer from DIS, as well as a ongoing fee from Billtrust for our software. The way that we are priced is based on volume. So we have, kind of typical to the subscription structure of how agreements in the SaaS world are structured. We have a tier basis whereby your volume will really drive what amount you pay to make sure that that amount is conducive of the value that you'll ultimately recognize in the solution. So we've aligned different price points with what those volume tiers allow for, based on you recognizing a strong ROI based on the efficiencies and reduced costs of payment acceptance to pay for our solution, and then some in as early as year one of implementing the product.
Thanks, Anthony. Any other questions that we're seeing?
Yeah, there's a few more questions related around setup and processing fee, and I think Anthony, you answered the question fairly concisely. But the one thing I would add further is to follow up with the DIS sales staff. They'll have more information as to the breakdown on pricing and whatnot, that and anything else, as well as the Billtrust folks.
Was the pricing question related to processing payments, or was it related to the setup of our environment?
Initial fee, and then the processing fee percentage.
Got it.
I think it's better to on an individual basis, because it is, as you said, Anthony, it's based around volume. So I think depending on volume, it'll be different for everybody. So it's probably best to have that conversation individually with each dealer.
Agreed. Yeah, lots of variables that come into play, and as Anthony touched on, we're optimizing each and every credit card payment to a level 2 or level 3, so which in and of itself can provide significant cost savings, and happy to kind of address those one-off, and the ability for us to set up some individual time with your respective dealership organization to review further. Were there any additional questions?
No, I think that was it, Bob.
Okay.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today.
Thank you for your time today.
Yep, thank you.